But without further ado, we have a special introductory speaker, and I just realized I hadn't found him yet. Is he with you? Robert Red! There he is, Robert Red! So we like in our venues to bring someone with a lot of local knowledge and flair from the place we're having our conference to give us our introductory remarks. And this year we have Robert Red, who is a native of Volusia County. He's a graduate of Stetson University right here in DeLand, and American Public University with a BA in American Studies and an MA in Public History. He is the past executive director at the New Smyrna Museum of History. He is currently employed by the County of Volusia. Robert is an author or co-author of 10 books, the most recent being 100 Things to Do in Daytona Beach Before You Die, published this year by Reedy Press. His next book, to be published by History Press, Acadia Publishing, deals with the American alligator Robert and his wife Christina. Wait, what? Oh, there was a period there. I do not have my reading glasses on, and that's another thing I forgot today. Grammar is very important. His next book deals with the American alligator. Robert and his wife, Christina, live in southeast Volusia County with their dog Ruby and their cat Ignatius. So Robert, would you please come up and give us an opening remarks for this year's conference?
Thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me to speak this morning. I'm truly honored to be here. When I was first approached with this opportunity, I kind of hesitated. My speaking experience is generally local community-based historical societies, DAR groups, civic organizations, where they're having lunch and not paying attention to you. So, and I don't mean to speak disparagingly of any of these organizations. Many times those in attendance, they know more about a subject than I do. And that happened recently. I was giving a talk at the New Smyrna Beach Public Library as part of their America 250 series, and was on Dr. Andrew Turnbull and the Smyrna settlement. Somebody asked a question, and I went, you should be the one up here probably giving this talk rather than me. It was clear this woman really had studied the subject, and she kind of threw me with the question. I'm not used to such in-depth questions at talks like that. But so in a way, I'm a little bit out of my element today. Literature is not my strong suit. It's not my background, and not really my general reading interest, though I would argue if you caught my cat's name, Ignatius, I would argue that A Confederacy of Dunces may be one of the great American novels. So if you haven't read that, give it a go. And the introduction to the book by Walker Percy it will move you, what he has to say. So as I'm preparing for this, and I'm learning a little bit more about the society. I'm one of those Gold Star members here. So I was reviewing the online listing of officers and trustees, and while I certainly didn't know all of you, I knew enough of the names to make me think, oh boy, what have I got myself into here? What can I possibly say to a group such as you? What might interest you? And then I looked at the contents of the latest issue of the Marjorie Kinnan Rawlings Journal of Florida Literature, and I kind of smiled to myself. And you might ask, well, what made you smile at that? And I saw an article, Threads of Home, Finding Rawlings' Florida, and I could hear my friend, the recently deceased Jim Clark, and he would have told me, look, if they'll let Kilby write for them, you're going to be okay. And I miss Jim. And, I would get the emails from him, and the subject matter was always from Jim Clark. I knew that, Jim. But if you knew him, Jim was always quick with a joke, and he was quick to poke the bear. We both have books published by History Press, and he always would poke at me about how much money he was making in royalties. He had those 2 General Florida books that they just sell and sell. And wherever Jim is now, I know he's probably thinking, you still owe me money for a talk at the museum that you never paid me for. So he used to always bug me about that. But when Jim wasn't messing around, he was really one of the most encouraging people that you would have ever met. He was so proud of his son who worked for ESPN. And I think Jim took his role as a UCF faculty member out of the classroom when he would talk with me. He was always so supportive. He was always encouraging me to think bigger than whatever it was I was working on. And I can remember one time we were talking about projects we were working on, and if you knew Jim, the topic of book royalties always came up. And he looked at me and he said, look, if you're not going to make any money, wouldn't it be better to be published by a university press? And maybe one day, Jim, maybe. But I have to tell you, I had not read anything by Marjorie Kinnan Rowan since probably being an undergraduate. So I had to do a little background reading, and I read Cross Creek and started on a biography. So I really had no idea what I was going to say, and then it hit me. Well, I know the building we're meeting in. I know that area. I grew up, well, it's not right around the corner, but on Stone Street. You could easily walk there. I knew this building when I was a kid, so I thought, well, why not talk about this area a little bit? And this building is just a historic preservation success story. The church that was here moved out, and it could have easily fallen to the wrecking ball. Put up condominiums or God knows what, but it's been saved. It seems to be a success, which is great for the neighborhood, great for DeLand. So I just wanted to talk about a couple places that, if you have a few minutes after we wrap up today, this afternoon, or maybe tomorrow after we complete, if you aren't going to Blue Spring. And so right around the corner on Wisconsin Avenue, you're going to see a big 2-story brick building, and there's a basement area. If you're in the right area, you'll think it's 3 stories. And that building now houses County of Volusia School Board offices. But that building is where I went to elementary school. And when I was going there, it was Dempsey Brewster Elementary School. And prior to that, it was Wisconsin Avenue Elementary School. School opened in 1925, and a young woman by the name of Dempsey Brewster, who was from Georgia, and she had been working in Polk County. She came to DeLand to teach. And shortly thereafter, she was named principal, and she held on to that like a pope in a way. And she was principal for a long time. She finally retired in 1958, and they named the school after her. Kindergarten through 3rd grade were on the main floor. And when you got to 4th grade, 4th through 6th grade, you got to climb this long ramp that took you upstairs. And as a kid, going up the stairs wasn't a lot of fun, but the teachers hated it when you were coming down because everybody would run down this ramp because you picked up so much speed and you would crash into the wall at the end. And I guess to a 10-year-old, that's a lot of fun. I don't know. Those ramps, I don't think they would pass ADA compliance today. When the school board took over the building for offices, they did put an elevator in, so there is access for everybody. And I recently had the chance to get back in that building, and probably for the first time since 6th grade. And I was over there for a meeting, and so I broke away for just a few minutes just to go take a look at that ramp, and yeah, it's still steep. So the lower level of the school served as the school lunchroom, and there was some storage. And after lunch would be recess. And if you're facing the school, if you're looking directly at it, on both sides of the school there were fields. Those would also be used for the PE classes if you happen to have that. And today the playground equipment, including the metal slides that would be about 150 degrees in the heat of Florida, or the merry-go-round that if you were on that and let go, you'd probably go flying somewhere. The seesaws that if your partner jumped off, you were going to crash to the ground and jar yourself pretty hard. Or maybe the jungle gym, where if you fell from the top, you're going to be like a human Plinko puck and hit every bar on the way to the ground. Those are all gone. And the paved track, the basketball goals that were set way lower than the 10 feet regulation, swing sets, all just memories for those of us that attended there. But the building we're in today does have a little bit of association from when I went to school there at Dempsey Brewster. And at the time we had a school safety patrol. And I think you had to be in 6th grade and probably had to be nominated by one of the teachers. But it seemed like an important deal to a 6th grader at the time. So every 9 weeks you were assigned a new area to be a patrol for. And one of the areas was right outside this building at the corner of Wisconsin and Clara. And we'd be sent there to assist the professional crossing guard. I don't really know what we did. I think we were there for about half an hour every day. Well, we were headed over here, and one of the co-conspirators on that happened to attend the church that was here, and introduced us to the spiral staircase that is right outside the entryway. So, you know, as a 10, 11-year-old kid, you got to run up and down the spiral staircase every single day. And I think just because it was there, no real reason. So when they were working on this building, you know, I work literally like a block and a half from here. And so I had to be Mr. Nosy, and I came and looked, and yeah, the spiral staircase is still there. You can still see it right outside. The playgrounds are gone, but somehow that spiral staircase has lasted 40 more years, so good for it. But if you're standing out at Wisconsin Avenue and you're looking at Dempsey Brewster, you're going to see another big brick building behind that, and that's the junior high. Back in the days before middle school, we had junior high here in DeLand, and that's where the 8th and 9th graders went. And if you're paying attention and doing the math, you notice, where did the 7th graders go? Well, we all got bused to the other side of town to Southwestern 7th Grade Center, which was the old high school and junior high for African American students in the days of segregation. And after 1969, they turned that into just 7th grade and bust everybody there who didn't live close. But back to the junior high building that you can still see today. The main entrance is on Ridge Avenue. They've kind of revised that a little bit. It's no longer an entrance. It actually looks a little off. You know, they've done some work to it. A disgruntled student lit the building on fire in 1979. So a good chunk of that brick building did burn to the ground, and I have the vaguest memories of that. I was attending Dempsey Brewster at the time, but I don't really remember much about it. One thing I do remember about it, I could never figure out how you'd have a class on the 3rd floor and your next class would be in a portable seemingly 2 miles away, and then your class after that, you got to get back to the 2nd floor. I don't know how they did that, but they did it. And these old buildings, air conditioning was not a luxury that the school board was willing to put into those buildings. And I think for teachers in their preparation every year, they were reminded, tell those kids to not open the windows more than 6 inches. There's some kind of magical airflow that was supposed to come in the classrooms that just never seemed to work. And I think it was really more to keep us from just staring out the window and not paying attention. So. But somehow most of us, we made it through. We made it through those walks to class. They probably really weren't that far. Classrooms probably weren't quite as hot as we want to remember. And our reward was we got to go to DeLand High School. So, which looks nothing like the high school that I attended. So, but a couple of other very brief mentions in the neighborhood that are within walking distance. If you go out to Ridge Avenue and you turn left, there's a new historic marker on Ridge Avenue. It's a blue marker, and that commemorates the September 1891 lynching of a black man by the name of Lee Bailey. And Bailey had been arrested because a white woman made a vague claim about having been assaulted, but she never was able to finger Bailey as being the person who allegedly assaulted her. About 1 o'clock in the morning on September 27th, 1891, a mob of about 100 white men pulled Bailey from his cell. I'm sure the police put up a lot of effort to stop that. Dragged him to this point on Ridge Avenue. They hung him from a tree, lynched him. His body had about 30 gunshot wounds in it. So, and I know you'll be shocked to know there were no arrests made for that killing. So, so even in a community like DeLand, there were issues. But today the story is recounted by the groups Volusia Remembers Coalition and the Equal Justice Initiative. They have marked that spot. It's right over by the parking lot for Volusia County and the Athens Theater. And if you haven't been or seen the Athens Theater, you really need to walk over and take a look at that building. Dates to 1921, 22, right in that area. Started life as a vaudeville and silent movie house. And from what I have read, they had one of the old Wurlitzer pipe organs in the building. So my first real memory of the Athens, some friends and I went and saw Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. So you can start dating me from that. But the building, even at that time, was already deteriorating. By the 1990s, it had shut down. And as happens to a lot of buildings like that, the possibility of the wrecking ball was right there. But Main Street DeLand was able to purchase the building through a lot of grassroots fundraising and sweat equity. The building was eventually turned over to Sands Theater Center Incorporated, which is a 501c not-for-profit organization. And in 2009, the theater building was reopened, and today they host theatrical events, touring musical groups. Usually you'll see it on the marquee, tribute acts, cover bands, things like that. They have a wildly successful summer camp program for students, and they do rent space for events. And if you walk over, if you're lucky, maybe the ticket booth will be open right outside. They might let you in, let you look around real quick. It's really a marvel, and it's one of those things that helps make DeLand unique. And if you get to see Alexa Baldwin when she is there, I work with her on some things. I just want to give a little thanks to Alexa and the work she does for cultural arts in Volusia County. But if you do go over, one thing you do need to do is you need to take a few steps down Indiana Avenue. And Indiana Avenue is one-way traffic, so it's easy to not get hit by a car. And go out in the street and turn around and look at the building and take in the full view of it, not just from walking up to the front door, but really see what the building looks like, and you'll see why it's so important to DeLand. And if by chance you get over there after dark, it's really something when it's lit up, when they have it lit up. Very close to that is the historic courthouse. Make sure you read the state historic marker out there. Somebody you just met helped work on that, did the writing on that. But inside is where you'll really be impressed. Make sure you look up and see the dome, just see the detail work on the building, and then you compare it to a modern courthouse and you just go, ugh, they're so boring. But if you're able, make sure you climb one of the two staircases. There's two matching staircases. Make sure you take a look out and you can really, again, you just get these broader views of what buildings are like. Upstairs is where the courtroom is. It's really not used for courtroom activities very often now. They use it for swearing in ceremonies and things like that. But the door is usually unlocked. You can just walk right in and look around. Make sure if you do, you look up on both sides, and you're going to see some balcony seating. Yeah, it's not really balcony seating. That's again Jim Crow seating. That is seating for African Americans who weren't allowed to be on the main level. And just a reminder of where we've come from. But so with that, welcome to DeLand if you're not familiar. DeLand goes by the nickname the Athens of Florida, and that nickname came from Henry A. DeLand, allegedly after seeing the progress that was being made related to culture, art, and infrastructure. Today the city continues Mr. DeLand's vision. The city has 3 different National Register of Historic Places districts and multiple individual listed properties. Stetson University, you can walk around the campus of that. Some of the buildings are easily accessible. Some of them are not quite so easy. Cultural opportunities, including Museum of Art DeLand. There's multiple history museums. West Volusia Historical Society, the DeLand House Museum is within walking distance of where we're at here. There's a widely respected fall art festival that's held each year. Music, theater, dance organizations, and the city has been recognized many times for its downtown revitalization efforts, and just recently was runner-up to Fredericksburg, Virginia for Best Main Street in the South on the Garden and Gun website. And if you follow any of the DeLand city accounts on Facebook and other social media, they were really pushing for votes on that. But you know, coming in runner-up to Fredericksburg isn't such a bad thing. DeLand beat out earlier in the competition cities of Beaufort, South Carolina, Thomasville, Georgia, and Paducah, Kentucky. So I think DeLand did well for itself. So again, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I look forward to hearing the presentations today. Welcome.
Thank you.